One spin, one wall, $1 million gone in an instant. Ryan Blaney had it. He had the bracket. He had the tournament in the palm of his hand at Indianapolis. And then in the blink of an eye, somebody else's mistake turned his biggest payday of the year into a bitter memory. He got the apology. He's still furious. And you're about to find out why an apology doesn't always fix what's broken. Here's what went down at the Brickyard 400. Blaney rolled into Sunday's race as the favorite to win NASCAR's In-Season Challenge, a bracket-style single-elimination money tournament running alongside the points race. He started 13th. His opponent, Todd Gilliland, started outside the top 30. On paper, this wasn't close. Then on lap 120, John Hunter Nemechek made contact with Blaney, sending him into the outside wall. The hit triggered a 9-car pileup that also collected Riley Herbst. Blaney had to pit for repairs, fell to 30th, and never fully recovered, crossing the line 26th, 2 spots behind Gilliland. That 2-spot gap was the entire ball game. Gilliland advanced. Gilliland won the bracket. Gilliland walked away with $1 million check. To understand why this stings so much, you have to understand what the In-Season Challenge actually means for these teams. This isn't points. This isn't playoff seeding. This is straight cash on top of everything else decided in a knockout format where one bad lap can end your run regardless of how strong your season has been. Blaney had survived 5 rounds of a 32-driver bracket to get to this point. Gilliland had 2, but as a heavy underdog seated near the bottom for Blaney and Team Penske, this was supposed to be a formality. Instead, it turned into a case study in how fragile momentum really is in this sport. One lapse from another driver and an entire tournament run built over weeks collapses in a single corner. And here's the part that makes it worse. Nemechek did apologize. Face-to-face after the race, he told Blaney he messed up. That matters. In a garage full of egos, owning a mistake immediately isn't nothing. But accountability and consequences are 2 very different things, and Blaney made that distinction crystal clear when he said on the record, "Apology's nice, but it still happened and cost us a lot of money." That's not a driver looking for a fight. That's a driver being honest about how business works at this level. Sorry doesn't refund $1 million. Let's break down what actually happened here, because there are layers to this. First, the racing incident itself. Lap 120 contact that turns a car into the outside wall is rarely intentional at this stage of a broadcast. It's far more likely a misjudged run or a closing gap that didn't close in time. Nemechek's quick apology backs that up. This reads as a racing mistake, not a statement. But intent doesn't matter to a bracket. That's the brutal math of a knockout format. In points racing, a bad day can be absorbed over 36 races. In a single elimination bracket, there's 0 cushion. 1 incident, 1 spin, 1 trip down pit road, and 5 weeks of survival evaporate. Second, look at what Blaney did after the wreck. He didn't fold. He came off pit road buried in 30th and started clawing his way back, running close enough to Gilliland over the final 25 laps that only 1 car separated them at the checkered flag. That's not a footnote. It's arguably the most impressive part of his day, and it's the part most highlights will skip right past. He nearly saved the bracket run from a 30th place hole, and he still came up 2 spots short. Third, the ripple effect. Blaney's spin didn't just cost him the bracket, it reset the entire front of the field. The caution flag it created opened the door for a restart that ultimately handed Heim the race win over Denny Hamlin. One incident on lap 120 rewrote both the tournament outcome and the actual race outcome. That's rare. That's the kind of moment crew chiefs will be studying on tape long after this weekend is forgotten by casual fans. Is any of this dangerous strategically? Not in the sense of recklessness, but it's a sharp reminder that in a bracket format, risk tolerance has to change. Drivers racing for tournament survival may need to start giving more room in 20-car packs than they would on a normal points day, because the cost of contact just got exponentially higher. Expect a split reaction here, and it's going to be loud on both sides. One camp is going to defend Nemechek hard. He apologized immediately. He owned it. Racing incidents happen, and nobody wants to see a driver villainized for what looks like a genuine mistake in traffic. The other camp is going to point straight at the money. $1 million changed hands because of one move. In a sport where fans already debate whether contact is just racing or something more, a 7-figure bracket prize turns every incident into a financial story, not just a competitive one. That's a new kind of pressure NASCAR hasn't had to fully grapple with before. And then there's Gilliland's side of the story, which deserves its own spotlight. This was a driver who started outside the top 30, who by his own account was nervous watching Blaney close in over the final laps with only one car between them. He credited his team directly for the result and summed up the moment simply saying, "Life is good as Todd Gilliland right now." That's not chest thumping. That's an underdog who knows exactly how close this one was. So where does this go from here? Two scenarios. Best case, this becomes a non-story by next weekend. Blaney's already clinched his chase spot with 4 races to go. He's sitting third in points with a 120-point gap to close, and a bracket loss, however costly, doesn't touch his championship path. Nemechek's apology holds, the two drivers move on, and this becomes a forgotten footnote by the time the playoffs start. Worst case, this lingers. Every time these two cars end up nose to tail for the rest of the season, commentators bring up lap 120. Fans on social media won't let it die, especially with $1 million price tag attached. And if there's even a hint of on-track payback down the road, this clip gets pulled right back up as the origin story. Given Blaney's own measured tone in his comments, the best-case path looks far more likely. But NASCAR has taught us repeatedly grudges in this garage have long memories. So here's the real question. Was Nemechek's apology enough, or does $1 million mistake demand more than sorry? Drop your take in the comments. Are you Team Blaney on this one, or do you think racing incidents are racing incidents no matter what's on the line? If you want more breakdowns like this the second the checkered flag falls, make sure you're subscribed, because this chase race is about to get a lot more interesting.